Okay, what's up guys? Today I wanted to give you guys some paneling tips. I tried recording this video once before, but I don't know. I think I started talking and then I was like, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm talking about. I sound stupid. I don't know. I sound like I don't know what I'm saying. Today I'm back with more confidence so that I can hopefully explain how I panel stuff. And it's mostly intuitive. I don't put a ton of thought into the way that I do things. I use the knowledge that I've learned from the limited time I spent at college and also through just observing other art and media to basically build the way I do panels, build the pages, set up shots. I kind of have a mostly clear image in my head, and I use my knowledge about shot types and change the panel sizes to indicate like what's a more important scene or what's supposed to be funny. And I'll try to explain that to you today. I'm gonna go over quickly different shot types because I think that's important to know. This is what I was taught when I went to animation school briefly. I did a year and a half of college, and I did one class that covered storyboarding. We also learned about like shot types and kind of the importance behind each one. In this, you can like open up like a brand new webtoon or even a brand new like manga or comic, and usually this will apply. Long shots or establishing shots are used to set up the scene, kind of give you an indication of the environment where we're going to be spending time with the character. I think these are really important, and in a lot of my earlier comic works, I didn't use these because I didn't want to have to draw the backgrounds. I was just like, I just want to draw the characters and their faces, and I don't want to have to worry about the environment. But the environment is really important because it tells you a lot about the character. So, long establishing shots, and you can see this even in my webtoon. Should we put it up? Should we put it up? So, to kind of set up the environment of where Glenn and Stefan first met, I used an establishing shot. I could have done a better job with like using the values to highlight Stefan as a clearer focal point. I think you can kind of tell that it's him, but my eyes keep going over here because of the contrast. It's a lot. The contrast here is a lot stronger than Stefan is right here. I like having establishing shot to show you where the character is. Same as here, showing you that Stefan's waiting outside. He's in front of a restaurant or cafe of some kind. Here I also have an establishing shot. I feel like it eases you in to the environment a little bit better than just like throwing you straight into dialogue. You kind of want to give the reader a second, especially if you're not like posting every week like I am doing this by myself, so I can't manage it. Establishing shots, set up the environment, show you where the character is, and gives you a sense of the time period and maybe the differences in this world compared to the one that we're living in right now. And these ones usually have the character far, far away. Now, a full shot is usually showing the character's full body. I think these are good for like zooming in right after an establishing shot, because usually an establishing shot is really wide, really far away, and focuses on the environment. There's no real emphasis on the character. I like seeing a scene go from establishing shot to a full shot because then you get to see the full character. I think these are some of the most important shots that a lot of beginners forget. Most people do medium shots, which are from like the waist up. These are really good for like discussions, like you could have another character here and they're both talking. These are very good shots for discussion. You can get a clearer view of the characters' expressions on their faces, and there's less emphasis on the background. There might still be some emphasis on the background in a full shot. I see a lot of beginners, including myself, this is not just other people, a lot of beginners stray away from these because these are a lot harder. You have to draw a full body and an environment, but there are resources out there to get better. If you have Clip Studio, they have 3D models that you can use to pose. I think there's also a website that has like a poser. I'll look for that and I will insert like a screenshot or like the TikTok whatever video I can find it on. And then for environments, I used 3D models for the back. I don't have a 3D model for the cafe, so I kind of just used some of the guidelines that I based off of these buildings and drew in the building up front here. But I just traced these ones in the background. It was super fast. Yeah, these are 3D models that I traced over so that I didn't have to do all the heavy perspective work. I just moved it around and then that was it. And then this one I didn't draw either. This one I also traced, and this was a picture. I literally got it off of Google Maps and then turned it black and white, and then just traced over it and then copy that. So you can use 3D models. You can import them into Clip Studio. If you don't have Clip Studio, please use Sketchfab. There's a lot of free models on there, and you can also just angle the model in a way that you need and then take a picture and then trace over. There's so many ways to do things so much faster. So please do not avoid establishing shots and full shots because they are important. And then a beginner favorite, and I've done this before too. We focus too much on the face, which is fine. We do want to show the audience what the characters are feeling, but we don't need to show it all the time. If you only show these, then we don't get enough contrast, and then it just gets really boring to look at also. And I'll show an example in a second of my old storyboards from an old comic idea that I had. But close-up are very good for showing us the character. A bit more emphasis on emotion, but it's still more like dialogue. Full shots have an emphasis on action and movement. Medium shots have an emphasis on some action, but mostly dialogue. And then close-ups are mainly emotion-based, seeing the emotions on the character's face. They also have an emphasis on dialogue. Extreme close-ups, this is all emotion right here. When you're doing an extreme close-up, it's because you want to show that the character's feeling something, and it's usually intense. As a viewer, you usually don't want to be that close to somebody's face. I know when I'm talking to somebody, I don't want to be like a centimeter away from their face looking in their eyeballs. So it's sort of an uncomfortable It's sort of an uncomfortable shot, but it shows us what the character's feeling, and it's usually an intense emotion. A good example of this is the Arthur meme. Editor Red, please insert a photo of the Arthur meme. As a good close-up on his fist, we see that he's feeling angry, right? And that became a really good meme for showing emotion, because that's a pretty intense emotion to be having your hand balled up in a fist. That means you're angry. It means you're holding back. Extreme close-up doesn't just have to be the face. It can be different parts of the body. It can be like feet tiptoeing, like in The Quiet Place, The Quiet Place. There's a lot of close-ups of them like stepping through areas that might make a lot of sound and them being very cautious. It's an intense feeling because us as the audience are watching them trying not to get like killed by this monster, and the whole time we're like on the edge of our seats being like, hey, watch out for that stick, please don't step on that stick. What's that kid doing over there? Oh god, he has a toy. Those are very good for intense scenes, and I love extreme close-ups, but please don't use them all the time. These are special cases. And then a random one I wanted to throw in is over the shoulder shots. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just a shot that's over the shoulder. Over the shoulder shots are good for showing the character's POV. So let's say this is our character right here. Let's call him Mr. A. Mr. A, let's say he was looking at something over here, and then he hears a voice to his left, and then he looks to the left, and then we get a shot over his left shoulder. It's just good for showing what the character's looking at. It can also help keep a sense of character spacing. Cowboy shot. So this is really good for action. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I like to put in sky and land planes. So think of like, I don't know if any of you have opened up like a 3D modeling software before, but Editor Red put a picture up of the grids in the software. There's usually a grid to show where your object is and the placement of the camera, because I don't know if you can tell from the orientation of these lines, but this is telling me, this is indicating to me that we're looking at something from below, because we can see the top of something. So this is probably going to be a sky, but this just helps me for orientation. Cowboy shot is a very action-focused shot. It's usually, the shot is shot from the hip. You get it? You get it? That's why it's called a cowboy shot. Look at that stance. Strong stance. Yeah, cowboy shots are shot from around the hip area, usually angled upwards. And then I should also mention bird's eye view, which is anything that is... Okay, let's say that we have a box here, right? Bird's eye view is the camera being anywhere from around here to here. It's the view that a bird would have of something from up high, from way up. Like this could... It's usually like a top-down view of a city. It's basically just a view from above. The same thing goes with a character. You can view a character from a bird's eye view. Just has to be from the top. The opposite of that is a worm's eye view, which is anything around here. It's like if you were a little worm and you were a cameraman, what would we be seeing? So it'd be Yeah, worm's eye view is from way at the bottom. We are looking at bird's eye view, looking down. The other thing I wanted to mention was composition, and this is really important and very easy to study by watching the show Arcane. That's my homework for you. Please watch Arcane. Please watch Arcane. It is so good. For my perspective coloring composition class that I had freshman year of college, we had to choose a show or movie and just pick certain scenes to look at and study the composition. They had so many good uses of rule of thirds and some pretty good uses of golden spiral, although I will say the golden ratio is a lot harder to spot than rule of thirds is, because the golden ratio, I believe, is the rule of thirds but split like a billion times until you reach like that spiral. Essentially, a symmetrical shot is the subject smack dab in the middle of your screen or your panel, and I'm using like movie format 1920 by 1080 because it's the most like visually recognizable, but the same applies in like a square box. A symmetrical shot is still whatever's right in the middle. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be like birthday cake. That look like a birthday cake? Yeah, sure. Sure. I personally believe that symmetrical shots are best used to convey a sense of unnaturalness. In nature, things are not usually symmetrical. Even with humans, we can look mostly symmetrical, but there are parts of us that are a little bit uneven, and something in our brains tells us that that's okay. I think the exception can be Wes Anderson movies, because he loves having his subjects right in the middle. He loves his symmetrical shots, and they usually don't look like uncomfortable a lot of the time. I find that symmetrical shots convey a sense of like uncomfortability. Like it's weird. Rule of thirds, also pretty self-explanatory. Whatever format you're using, divide it into 3 and then choose one of those thirds of the screen to put your character or subject in. This is basically what I did when I was studying the different shot types. Here we got a rule of thirds. She's like in the right third of the screen. Here we have Silco on the left third, and then Jinx is kind of like in the middle. Again, this scene feels uncomfortable, which is why I find that a lot of the time directors like to put a character that's in an uncomfortable situation straight in the middle of a shot. Here, what's his name? I forgot his name. He's in the middle. This is middle. Again, this is an uncomfortable moment. Here we got rule of thirds. I guess also golden ratio, although I can kind of see that. So that this ties in with leading lines, which should I cover that? I probably should. Golden ratio again. I'll put up my my breakdowns of some of the shots from Arcane on the screen. Boom, boom, boom. Wait, that's too fast. Go back. Okay, just show him. Golden Spiral, I really love. These are really good for leading lines. Leading lines are lines that lead you to the subject. I have a really good piece for that. Let me get it. Where is it? This guy. Here's a breakdown of this one. So these are all my leading lines. Let me explain it to you. Here we got symmetry. They're in the middle of the canvas. There's a weird relationship. You can kind of tell from, I think, the little demon girl's expression. Leading lines are meant to show like a sense of direction. They help guide your eye to what you're supposed to be focusing on. So I did this on purpose. I actually planned this out. For once, I wanted the viewer's eye to lead from the bottom down here up here, because I wanted to show that she's kind of shackled up here. If this line is leading down here, if this one is also leading down this way, you're probably gonna end up looking somewhere around here and here. And I think with this use of light over here, you're gonna end up looking here first, and then your eyes kind of just gonna naturally follow this path. You're gonna look at their hands, and then her hands, and then her foot out here. And then humans have this natural instinct to look at eyes, and anything with really high contrast. Along with this path, we also want to look at their faces, so we kind of follow this path, and I think you can see that there's a good line here for our eyes to follow. The wing really helps, and the arms as well, to bring us up to the faces. Her hand leads up to her face, and then same thing back. Her arm leads up to these flowers, and then we end up wanting to go look down the vine again. And because of the angle of her foot and the angle of this vine, we end up naturally looking up. I hope all of that made sense. You can buff it. Like, you could just put a bunch of lines on a canvas and be like, okay, now you're gonna look this way. Honestly, not a totally bad piece. This is from 2022. That was 4 years ago. I think I was like 17 or 18. I drew this because I was super into Genshin Impact and needed more stuff for my portfolio for college. Horrible contrast aside, so we've got his posture, his eyeballs, which are kind of looking that way, sorta. We've got his hair. We've got this roof, which could be taking us up that way or out that way. And then what breaks it? This is why I pulled this one out. Is this guy? It I don't know. It kind of breaks the flow. This thing too. Honestly, not horrible, but it's taking us this way, taking us this way. Good. Then it's taking us this way and that way, and now we've got like a bunch of clashing directions that we're supposed to be looking in. If I were to redo this, I think I would probably get rid of all this right here and then make it a lot lighter for the contrast there. Maybe more yellow because it really like clashes with his hair, and I think that's fun. And then the lines of the trees are already creating an interesting visual arc. I think it would be nice if it kind of did like a golden ratio type of thing. So it can stay like that if it goes like this, but then ends somewhere that forces us to look at his face. If we had like clouds or another building with a roof like this that forced us to look at his face, because that's clearly the focal point here, right? That would give us stronger leading lines, as opposed to this thing in the back. I feel like I'm looking at this more than I'm looking at his face because of how contrasted this is with the hair and then the yellow trees right there. I hope you get the gist. If you don't, if anything I'm saying in this video is confusing, please comment about it so that I can make a follow-up video to clarify, because this is kind of me just going over it roughly. And now, okay, character spacing is very important, very important. I see in webtoons a lot of people, even like the pro webtoon creators, don't really follow these rules as much. Okay, imagine there are two characters, Mr. A and Mr. B, and this is the ground. We're looking at them. This is a bird's eye view, and we've got the over-the-shoulder shot over here. If the camera is here and the scene is established with the camera here, we cannot have the camera cross this 180 line. This is the 180 rule. Can't cross this way or can't cross this way, because as soon as we change perspective the other way, it gets really confusing. It gets confusing with character placement. So wherever you decide is the middle point of your camera, wherever you establish it in the first frame of your scene, there will be a line perpendicular to that you cannot cross, and it's for consistency's sake, because once we cross this line, now it's a different perspective and the placement of the characters gets confusing. So if this is this camera's view right here. We've got an over-the-shoulder shot of Mr. B looking over at Mr. A. So Mr. A is screen left. He is on the left side. Mr. B is on the right side. If we were to go over here, now Mr. A is screen right and Mr. B is over here. You don't want to swap the characters' positioning on the screen, because especially if you have characters that look pretty similar, it can get confusing for the viewers, and they'll be like, whoa, I thought he was just over here, why is he over here now? It's not very good composition, and it can kind of break up the line of sight, especially in webtoon format. You keep scrolling down, and then suddenly the view swaps, and now the characters are on opposite side. It's just not as easy to follow. I am super picky about page readability and page flow, and this just breaks it up so bad. Ideally, you want to keep the characters on the same side of the screen, so let's say they're here, right? And then maybe Mr. B moves up over here. Then we can change the camera angle to be over here so that Mr. B is still on the right side and Mr. A is still on the left. Camera angle changes, right? But characters are still respective sides. And then if you want Mr. B to go over on this side, then you need to make him move across the screen. We want Mr. A to move screen right, so then we can just have him walk this direction, and then in the next clip, we change angle, and Mr. A is over here. But it makes sense because in the last scene, he was just walking to the right, and now he's continuing the walk right. It flows. These are my old storyboards. We're gonna point out the flaws together. Why don't you pause and then take your own notes? What do you see already? What do you see that I made mistakes of? What am I lacking? What looks interesting? What could I improve on? What do you think about the composition? Where is the character on the screen? Honestly, I shouldn't have storyboarded in this format because I was formatting it for Webtoon, or I was drawing it for Webtoon, but doing the storyboards in this format. Okay, now let me go over it, now that you're done looking at it. Starting with the extreme close-up, that's fine. It's sudden and interesting, so that's okay. We have already, I can see, a lack of like a proper establishing shot, and a lot of very flat shots. So nothing very angled. This is just a straight on shot of his bed. Not a lot of dialogue, which is fine. Here's a worm's eye view. Here's a extreme close up again. Lots of medium shots, some full shots, but I don't think I ended up doing all of this action. You don't want a lot of action like this in your webtoon, like that's the same pose over and over. This is good for animation, but you don't want to keep drawing the same character over and over again like this. You can see in these ones, all medium shots, medium close-up. It just doesn't look very interesting. And then we can pull up one of my newer storyboards, and I'm still not the best at it, but definitely an improvement from that one. You know what? I'm still seeing the same problem here. Now I know I got some things I can improve on in the next episode. Although this one is very dialogue focused, so maybe it's okay. There are not many full shots though. It's all like medium and medium close up. But I'm formatting them properly for Webtoon, getting the dialogue in there so the page flow still makes sense. And you can also see that I keep the characters on the same side. So Glenn, whenever I have a shot with Glenn and Zion, Glenn is always on the right side, Zion's always on the left side. With Bree and Stefan, Bree's always on the right, Stefan's always on the left, because they're kind of at fixed positions at a table, so it just makes sense. Okay, start off with a close-up medium shot, and it's over the shoulder, and then a medium shot again, but it's like a really odd angle, and then we got a worm's eye view. Interesting line of sight here. What happened? I think I got really lazy with, whoa, 6, 7. It's episode 6 and 7. Then we got another close-up, medium shot. I think that's another medium shot. Full shot, sort of, but it's a lot bigger. Full, medium, close-up, full, medium, medium, medium-ish, medium again, and then 2 close-ups. Medium shots are the most common. I think in Project Hail Mary, there's a lot of medium shots because there's a lot of dialogue. And with dialogue-heavy movies and shows, it's okay to have a lot of medium shots. Am I justifying it now because I saw that I have a lot of medium shots? Maybe. But it's good to break it up with close-ups, extreme close-up, and full shots. Maybe the occasional establishing shots, but only when it makes sense. You don't want like a random view of the building from outside out of nowhere. Usually those are good for beginning a scene or ending a scene. Yeah, I think that's all that I gotta say about that. And then a lot of panel variety. You don't want to have the same size of panel the whole time. You can see that here. The size of the panels vary so differently, and then the size of the bubbles as well. You want to break up the bubbles a lot. You don't want like a huge block of text. When I was reading Western comics growing up, like Superman, Spider-Man, I had a hard time reading those because of how dense the speech bubbles were, and that's why I ended up switching to manga and enjoying manga a lot more because the text doesn't take over the whole page. It's not like there's a whole block of text, and it's not one bubble. It's usually a couple bubbles split up. I like easy readability and good page flow, so you can see there's not a whole lot of words. Like I won't have 15 words in one bubble. It'll usually be maybe like 10 or 12. One at the least. You got this bubble is just so. And I like to split it up based off of how people talk also, because we don't talk in one whole block of text. It's like, so you talked about the dorms, like something like that. There's a pause between that, and I think breaking up the speech bubbles gives you that pause. And then also be careful of how you're positioning them on the page. Like, don't put them all in one line. I try to have them go around. I gotta think of I gotta think more about how I do that one, because I don't really think about that. I just place them where they feel good. Yeah, those are all the tips I have right now. If you have any more questions, or if I think of something that I might have missed, we will have another video, because I want to help people out with the knowledge that I have, because oh my god, I've been recording for an hour. What, is that real? Oh my god, that's gonna be so much to edit. Okay, that's probably enough information for you guys then. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna shut up now. Goodbye.